Welcome to Electronic Filing Update, an illuminating look at the latest innovations in electronic tax filing. We'll show you how the Internal Revenue Service is using e-file to eliminate mountains of forms and schedules, and we'll travel along phone and transmission lines for an inside look at electronic encryption. Finally, we'll visit new tax payment options like credit and debit cards and examine the future of tax preparation in cyberspace. But first, we'd like you to meet 4 special people from private industry who are volunteering their time to redesign the IRS electronically.
Well, we ought to try and put some stuff together on the strategic planning.
Well, there's 2 pieces of that.
It's not quite 7 in the morning, and Bill Shepard is already hard at work.
We're running tight here. We want to have this all put together.
Together with 3,500 other co-workers at Intuit, Bill is a player in the mercurial world of tax accounting software.
What was that? E-filing was the biggest issue.
But by 9 a.m., Bill logs off his duties at Intuit and logs on to his personal passion, a tiny core of masterminds called ETAC, the Electronic Tax Administration Advisory Committee.
What we're doing as a committee is helping IRS focus on some things that we as a private sector group believe that are very important, and can also take a view from the outside of this complex organization of what they need to do to make that happen.
For whatever reason, there would be a state that had electronic filing done, but ETX...
The group that I ended up working with, what we're trying to do is make sure that the IRS plans in total really add up to what Congress had intended at the beginning.
IRS is dealing with some authentication issues.
2,000 miles away, Fran Bartlett, CEO of Business Automation Company, FLS, also lends her expertise. She leads the large and small business camp of the advisory committee.
Most of us are out of the private sector, and we're putting a great deal of effort into ETAC, and we're not doing that just for fun and games. We're hoping that we get the attention of Congress and that we can help them understand what they need to understand to automate the IRS and make it a friendlier organization, both electronically and in person.
Come by, Chris. I really appreciate it.
The other co-chair of ETAC is in Fenton, Missouri, Connie Grimes. She deals every day with the public and sees a lot of their problems.
You know, I'm just little Connie Grimes out here. I don't have any big business.
How are you?
I really feel like it's my role to stir ideas and throw out a few of my own ideas and get other people to think and try to think of what they would like to see in electronic filing, and that's kind of how I've approached it so far.
In the past, there has been a few examples where IRS would design things in a vacuum, and they would go to implement them, and then they'd realize that the public wasn't ready to accept them, or there were other issues. So I think one of the things the committee can do is to provide a little bit of oversight with a private sector perspective, if you will. We can say, yeah, this is realistic, this might not be realistic.
It's certainly my pleasure to have had an opportunity in a couple of working sessions up to now our first official
With
meeting.
Congress mandating this committee and wanting feedback that maybe they really are ready to listen to the practitioner community and get this thing going.
Congress has been very interested in a higher level of service to taxpayers. And IRS is sort of trapped in this legacy system of mountains of paper. And there's no way they can give good customer service with all this paper. So the only way that they ever can be successful is transitioning to an electronic system.
And if IRS is going to achieve high levels of electronic filing, they must design the program so it's attractive to both business and individuals.
Last year, a number of us from Intuit went to Ogden, which is the large service center near here, and took a tour through all of the processes that they do. And you go through this whole enormous paper process that they get of all where the semi trucks back up and dump off all the mail, and and the big sorting processes and all the automated mail processes and the people keying from the paper returns that come in. And they took us down the road a ways and showed us this extremely large warehouse, 2-story, acre of storage of paper, and we're totally taken away by the volume of paper. And then they tell us that it's only about a month's worth of returns.
We need to be able to move data faster and better. We've got a huge marketing issue to do just inside of the Internal Revenue Service and helping the employees of IRS understand. Some of them are afraid they're going to lose their job when we automate, and that couldn't be further from the truth.
At ETAC's urging, making all IRS forms and schedules available for electronic processing was given priority. Another priority, fortifying electronic systems already in place, like EFTPS, and eliminating bottlenecks for businesses who send regular payments, like payroll deductions, to the IRS.
I think a lot of business file on paper for a variety of reasons. What IRS needs to understand is that although you can file modem to modem or bulletin board to bulletin board or even via the internet, not all businesses allow their employees to have access to those types of communications. It's important not just for small business, but for large business to leave our options for communicating electronically open.
Congress has set some very aggressive goals for IRS for electronic filing. They expect the IRS to achieve an 80% electronic filing level by the year 2007. And that's actually, that requirement is in legislation in the IRS Restructuring and Reform Act.
The Internal Revenue Service is already in the age of electronics, and systems for the automatic data processing of tax returns are well advanced.
Most of their computer code was written in the 60s, and they do the best that they can, and the new forms and schedules, they make those so that you can e-file them, and they're trying to add the older forms that right now that you can't e-file. And I think they're really trying to get them all in there, but it's strictly a budget thing. They have so many dollars to spend, and they have to figure what the best place to spend them are. And I truly believe that if they could get more money, I think they could reach their 80%. And it'd be very easy, but they have to have the system to do it.
Hi, can I help you? Yeah, I'm interested in filing my taxes electronically.
An update on the speed and security of electronic tax filing. It's a fact. These e-file tax returns have a less than 1% error rate. Customers receive their refunds twice as fast.
There's two options in electronic filing. You can have it, if you're getting a refund, you can get the check in the mail, takes 3 to 4 weeks, or you can have it directly deposited into your bank, and that only takes 2 to 3 weeks.
But some taxpayers and some practitioners have yet to find themselves a comfort level with monitors, mice, and modems in this aggressive transition.
I believe that taxpayers and tax preparers are becoming more comfortable doing transactions on the internet, and as that evolution continues to change, people will begin to embrace electronic filing more and understand that that just as the data is secure when they perform a transaction on the internet for their checking account, it is secure when they electronically file their return.
Whether created by an individual or a CPA, tax returns generated on desktop software can be transmitted to the IRS through an approved electronic return originator or via relay stations maintained by desktop software providers themselves. In the case of simple individual tax returns, like Easy 1040s, a taxpayer can dial in the information to the IRS using the telephone keypad through a service called Telefile.
Let's see, could I have a home phone number?
Yes, 703.
When a tax preparation provider becomes the middleman in transferring tax information, the electronic stream of tax data enters a realm of heightened security and encryption. E-file tax returns forwarded to these sites are batched together in an IRS-compatible format and sent to the IRS on direct dial lines.
We sent off this batch of 500 returns to the IRS at 2 a.m. in the morning, and we expect to receive the acknowledgments, for example, at 2 p.m. in the afternoon.
Transmissions are monitored for any errors or interruptions 24 hours a day. To ensure that they arrive error-free, verification is required on all transmissions.
And the IRS service centers have a staff of people as well on their end that do the same thing. And if they find errors in the return, they will reject the return and tell you why they've rejected it. And the beauty of this is that this then allows the tax preparer to fix the return for the client or the taxpayer to fix their own return. And this is not available in paper filing either. So the feedback loop that you get from the IRS with electronic filing improves the accuracy and also the timing with which your return is processed.
What exactly were you confused about?
Well, I wasn't sure if I needed to put it out on what the deadlines are, so I'm going to look over here.
Behind the scenes of e-filing is another arduous detail: the design and testing of desktop tax software. Here, consumers and tax professionals alike act as software guinea pigs. While they navigate their way through tax preparation, programmers in the next room note problems that need correction before the software is released to consumers.
So the technology is built into the software such that as the tax preparer enters data into the software has a review process built into it so that when they're done with preparing their return before they file it, we check it for errors and then provide feedback to the user saying, boy, we found this error, here's where you need to go to correct the error. Or if we believe, for example, that a deduction may be available that they haven't taken advantage of, we'll let them know that, and then they can make the educated choice whether or not this applies to them.
The reasons for not filing electronically are somewhat historical. Concerns about privacy or concerns that you might get audited more often, or things of that nature that really are hollow. You won't get audited more often. Once the return gets to IRS, it's processed in the same pipeline that a paper return is, so the chance of audit is identical. The other kind of objection that came about from a professional's point of view is, my clients don't want it, they don't ask for it. They're the ones that are paranoid about privacy and more frequent audits. I think those will become competitive disadvantages to the professional if they don't sell their clients.
This year's 98 filing season takes a big electronic step towards taxpayer convenience. By amending federal laws to allow payment of the balance due on taxes by credit card or by directly debiting a taxpayer's bank account, Congress has made more payment options available to consumers.
One of the many benefits of these new payment options offered by the IRS is that when you pay your balance due by direct debit, you can have the IRS deduct the balance due from your checking or savings account on April 15th. In addition, if you electronically pay your balance due via credit card, again, you can file your return at any time throughout the season, and you may be able to have the credit card company pay the IRS on April 15th as well.
The IRS is doing 2 pilots this year that would allow certain classes of taxpayers to file electronically without submitting a piece of paper by using a separate IRS-generated, essentially almost like a PIN number.
Members of ETAC and the IRS continue to explore ways to replace the paper signature.
If we can't resolve the signature issue, it's going to be very difficult to electronically file tax documents. We would like to see IRS use the technology that is currently used in a business-to-business environment. Certainly the PIN is something that you and I are familiar with because we use it when we use our ATM card.
This filing season, most taxpayers can use Discover Card, MasterCard, or American Express to pay taxes owed. The IRS is optimistic that these changes are advantageous to some taxpayers. Next year, IRS expects to finalize arrangements with other major credit card companies. Stay tuned.
I'm picking up
out the forms that I think I'm going to need to fill out for you today. And one of the forms we're going to be filling out for you is an electronic filing form.
Like if somebody comes into my office, they'll do what I recommend. And if you have a CPA out there and he recommends that they e-file, they're going to e-file. They're not going to argue with him and try not to when they can. So the key is to bring in those professionals that have all these returns that could be e-filed now and they aren't.
It's real early in the season, but within our own electronic filing here at Intuit, we've seen a doubling of tax returns filed electronically. We're starting to see the difference. And all the components aren't there to make it really very easy. There's still a lot of things that people have to jump over that make it difficult.
Part of the IRS restructuring legislation was people who file electronically should be able to access their own account information. So you would actually be able to use your computer to dial up, say, an IRS center or through the internet or direct dial, and actually through the proper security, passwords, and personal identification, be able to have access to your own account and see what the status is. Do they owe you a refund, or do they have they accounted for all your payments?
What we'd like to see is IRS do some marketing to the practitioner community on how they could conduct business with IRS electronically. If they send the return electronically, they could get immediate confirmation that the file was received and possibly even processed by the IRS. We need to market that to practitioners and businesses. Today, if you mail the return, you don't know that IRS received the return, and you certainly don't know when it was received.
But if you want them filed electronically, can you be more flexible because your processing is going to be easier? Because
feedback is great. I feel like this is our one shot. We finally have a committee where we can talk to the IRS and get things improved. And if you're sitting on the sidelines and not participating, then you don't have any reason to gripe. And this is our way to have things known and to hear our voices. So let's do it.
Thank you for your kind attention. I'm hopeful the last 20 minutes have proved informative. We here at the IRS take our congressional challenge, 80% electronic filing by the year 2007, very seriously. However, we understand clearly we can't get there without you. For those of you who offer electronic filing to your clients today, thank you very much. For those of you who do not, I'm hopeful that the last 20 minutes have helped you better appreciate some of the benefits that are offered in the program today, more importantly, some of the benefits that will be offered tomorrow. A number of new services: electronic account inquiry, secure and private electronic email, electronic power of attorney, electronic transcript delivery. How do you get there? Step through the doorway of electronic filing. Today you can become comfortable with the technology. Tomorrow you'll be comfortable with the new services. Services that you in turn can offer to your clients in the future. For more information about our current programs and our future programs, visit our website or call your local IRS office and ask for enrollment information.
Thank you for your interest in electronic filing. We'll be back this summer with new developments and services you can use to electronically file.